Struggling to make good the loss of thousands of armored vehicles, the Russian military has long relied on unarmored vehicles, motorbikes, all-terrain vehicles, vans and trucks to carry infantry into battle. But the pickup truck and sedan assault outside the fortress city of Pokrovsk this week may have marked an inflection point. It was possibly one of the first significant Russian attacks where all the vehicles were civilian models. It's an ominous development for Russia, but not necessarily a decisive one. As a Ukrainian drone observed from on high, a platoon or company-sized Russian force assembled outside Pokrovsk, in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk Oblast, climbed into at least 7 trucks and cars and rolled toward Ukrainian positions. One of the vehicles flew an old Soviet flag. The outcome should shock no one. Russia's best armored vehicles are vulnerable on the shell-pocked, mine-infested, drone-patrolled landscape outside Pokrovsk. Its worst unarmored vehicles are even more vulnerable. The attack was successfully repelled. Officer Plus, a popular Ukrainian military blogger, reported Saturday. The car with the rag, the Soviet flag, was given special attention. Capturing Pokrovsk is a major objective for the Russians as their wider war on Ukraine lurches toward its 4th year. A large Russian force has been grinding toward Pokrovsk since ejecting the ammunition-starved Ukrainian garrison from the city of Avdiivka, 37 miles to the east, back in February. The Ukrainian garrison in Pokrovsk, anchored by a trio of Jaeger and airborne brigades, is badly outnumbered by a Russian field army with 8 or 9 brigades and regiments. But trading space for time and opportunities to bleed the Russians, the Ukrainians have knocked out around 2,000 Russian vehicles, while losing just 500 of their own. The Kremlin can't generate enough fresh vehicles fast enough to replace all its losses on the Pokrovsk axis. Russian industry probably builds fewer than 1,000 new infantry fighting vehicles a year. At the same time, stocks of old Cold War vehicles are running out. One major storage yard at the 22nd Central Tank Reserve Base in Kostroma Oblast in western Russia is practically empty. Hence the pickup trucks and cars and the decisive defeat of that recent attack toward Pokrovsk. But not all Russian assault groups are so poorly equipped, and not all of them get beat. By employing small, continuous assaults, Russian troops eventually expose and exploit weak points in Ukrainian defenses, explained Tatarigami, founder of the Frontelligence Insight Analysis Group. While this approach results in high Russian losses, which are deemed unsustainable in the long term, it has proven effective in the short to medium term. That the pickup and sedan assault failed doesn't mean the overall Russian offensive will fail. The Russians are racing against the coming depletion of their vehicle reserves to capture as much of Ukraine as they can. Time and attrition may save most of Ukraine, but possibly not Pokrovsk. Putin's army has lost more than 2,200 troops over the past 24 hours. But the brutal dictator is hell-bent on sending more men to the meat grinder war. This brings the total casualties on the Russian side to 770,420. According to the Russian media outlet Pravda. Almost 20,000 drones, 10,000 tanks, and hundreds of warships, planes and helicopters have all been eliminated from the dictator's arsenal, Kiev has claimed. Russia's staggering death toll marks the Russian tyrant's most damaging period of his over 1,000-day-old conflict so far. The previous highest was 2,000 on November 29th. Troops from Pyongyang have suffered several hundred casualties while fighting in the last few weeks, according to the White House and U.S. military. One U.S. official said, "Several hundred casualties is our latest estimate that the DPRK has suffered. This includes everything from light wounds up to being KIA killed in action." New drone videos have been released by Ukraine's military claiming to show North Korean fighters, DPRK, on the front line, and the bodies of slain Russian and Korean soldiers stacked together. Ukraine's GUR military intelligence separately confirmed North Korea had suffered significant losses over 2 days of fighting, and that at least 30 soldiers were killed and wounded. One video is said to show the bodies of dozens of dead Korean soldiers laid out by Putin's forces after the weekend's major clash in the Kursk region. A number of corpses can be seen lying side by side under a dusting of snow with their faces covered. Another, released by Ukraine's Korn Group, claims to show North Koreans hiding in snow-covered woodland. The soldiers in the video can be seen cowering from the drones flying above them while holding automatic weapons. A spokesperson for the Korn Group said, "The long-awaited North Koreans. Weakness and bravery are their tactics. Their trump card is good fitness." They said the soldiers were applying the same tactics as 70 years ago, alluding to the Korean War. A third video released by the 95th Air Assault Brigade shows soldiers it identifies as DPRK fighters hiding amongst vast snowy fields and lobbing missiles at the overhead drones.